What is the difference with Stafford in golf?
I mean, just the physical talent is the number one.
The arm?
Yeah, because, and that's to the point of, I don't believe that Sean thought I can create those chunk plays in the drop back game, and he was dependent on the play action game. With Matthew, he goes, I can create those chunk plays. Or the third down stuff.
It's worth explaining to people how this opens up the entire offense. I always like to say football's just about numbers. It's about math. How many guys you got, how many eligible receivers. And because with Stafford, they've opened up this straight drop back side of the playbook, and we've seen this over the course of the entire season, there's just more people to throw to. It's just harder to defend versus the 2000, the Jared Goff offense with being so dependent on play action as it was. But I do want to note, Dan, like there was a point in this season, I want to say around the middle of the year, where we were starting to question whether they needed to lean more on the 2008 offense and more play action, partially because they're having trouble protecting Stafford, especially when they would go into empty. What we've seen over the last few weeks, and this is what's really impressed me, is the offensive line is holding up better. I think the presence of Odell Beckham Jr. has changed that offense over the last few weeks, and suddenly you see this is the vision they had when they traded for Matthew Stafford.
But I think that's the balance. We always hear that word balance in football because they did do that a little bit, and it's just forced teams to play them a little bit more honest. And I think
you got to defend the whole field.
Yeah, and Sean has found that kind of complementary rhythm.
And y'all remember we talked about, when I talked about that offensive line performance against San Francisco. And it was because of that offense having that multiplicity that you and me were talking about.
Let's let the run game enter the chat real fast.
Yeah, I think you need a heavy dose, but I'm right. Like I think you need
said it yet, so really.
I think you need a heavy dose, and I hate, like, you guys have taught me not to just run game and then leave it as a cliffhanger. It's really getting the ball in those guys' hands. Like the matchups that you just talked about, Mina, with Cam Akers one-on-one with a backer. If you could find that opportunity throughout the course of a game, the zone stretch, sometimes just give them heavy run. Because I think what has happened throughout this playoffs, and y'all know we're going to talk about this a lot, we haven't emphasized enough of how good the Bengals defensively has been. And their ability to morph. Like, in a game, outside of a game, but the personnel as well. They have physical defensive ends as well as legit pass rush. So I think Akers and Sony Michel are going to have to stamp moments of this game as opposed to just leaning heavy into it.
This is where we come together because we are coming off a game in which I felt the Kansas City Chiefs did not run enough against the looks that the Bengals were giving them. If they try to do that against the Rams will run the show.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.